All right, let's go ahead and make this big and launch right into it. Navigating the universe with David Bone Gill. Technical Director. Turn off those.
How are you doing, Los Angeles? Boy, there's a lot of you here. It's great to see you. Hi. My name's David, but everyone calls me Bone. Don't ask. Or maybe ask me later.
So, of course, this came out, and everybody is pinging me in my Discord saying, find out what his nickname means. You have to find out. It's like, really? That's the answers that you want from CitizenCon? That's what you want me to ask the devs? Hey, where does your nickname came from? Well, guess what? Tree delivers. All right, so I found David Bones, and what was your last name again?
Gill.
I can't hear, sorry.
David Bone Gill, G-I-L-L.
I found David Bones Gill, and he's going to tell us the story about where the nickname Bones came from, and now you all will know.
Hello, everybody. Hello, I'm called Bone.
Gotta speak up.
Hello, I'm called Bone because I'm just a bit thin.
That's it. It's because he's thin.
You heard it here?
Yes, you heard it here first. Breaking news from CIG Santa Monica. David Gill is called Bones because he's thin. I'm going to go buy him a cheeseburger and he's going to lose his nickname. All right, so you heard it here first. Breaking news. Yeah, you saw that was one of the other UI team members was behind me. I got to talk with the four of them. There's four of them for 30 plus minutes, and they're just the nicest, most genuine folk, and just super passionate about their work. And so it's just an absolute pleasure to talk with them.
So my job is to oversee all the technical implementation.
Oh yeah, and so while we were talking, I don't know how we got on the topic, but I asked, I was like, you guys, something like to the effect, do you get to spend any time in the States while you're here, see the sights? And the other three UI team members had to go home. And he's like, well, my partner and I, David, he's like, my partner and I, we're going on holiday. I was like, oh, cool. Where are you going? And anything interesting? He's like, have you heard of Idaho? I was like, yes, I live in Idaho. I'm from Idaho. And me and North End Trooper were there. North End lives in Boise, where we both live near each other. And he's like, oh, well, have you heard of this Airbnb? It's shaped like a potato. And it's like, yeah, that's like 30 minutes from my house. It's famous where we're from. I can't believe you're going on vacation to Boise, Idaho, of all places, to stay in the potato Airbnb. And so I just, Bone, if you're watching this, if you see it later, just know that, I love you, buddy. Thanks for talking with me. And I hope you and your partner had a great vacation and had a really good time in the potato Airbnb. But, of all the places in the US you could go, not the Grand Canyon or Yosemite, Yellowstone, New York, Las Vegas, or anything. Nope. Went to Boise, Idaho to stay in the potato Airbnb. Go Idaho.
Of the UI across the company. And if I'm lucky, I get to do some programming from time to time. At previous CitizenCon, one in the flesh, in Manchester, I talked about UI tech with my friend and colleague, Zain Bian. And we were making new tools and technology to help our developers to develop their UI. So that was a few years ago now. And now I'm really privileged to share with you how this technology is being utilized by our talented designers to help improve your experience in the verse. So, along with some of my UI friends that are hidden out the back there, we'd like to show you some of these improvements which are going to help you, the players, navigate the Star Citizen universe. So, why are we doing this? Well, Star Citizen is big.
He's just so wholesome.
Really big. There's so many unique places, massive planets, moons, space stations, rest stops, you know, there's just loads of places to explore. We have a huge range of spaceships of all shapes and sizes, and there's an enormous amount of things to do and see and people to meet, and all this can be shared with friends online. And as we've seen today, as our amazing online technology grows, it takes great leaps, and our online player count grows, the possibilities become almost endless. So how are we going to make sense of all this? Right. Well, one of the main ways we do this is with a user interface, or UI for short. Well, that's where we come in, fortunately, being the UI guys. And we do this in loads of ways that you see already, whether it's your vehicle MFDs, or the HUD, or the kiosks, where you get your spaceship, or you trade commodities, or buy weapons, and all manner of diegetic UIs that you see, diegetic meaning like things in the world that you can interact with. But our first real opportunity is through the helmet visor display. Now, the visor display gives you vital information about your status and the environment around you. But this display has gone through many iterations over the years, and it's been built upon and adapted. And I don't know if who remembers Arena Commander 1.0. That came out about a year after I started, which was primarily space combat and racing, so the visor was geared towards that. And then it evolved with our first ventures into the online universe, and as all the features get added and all.
For context with the visor, pulled this up on the progress tracker. So they've been working on, this is Play Interaction Experience Tier 2, Visor, HUD, and Helmet, for obviously Star Citizen, Squadron 42. But there's been a lot of work over a long period of time. This is back when they were first getting started. They converted it to building blocks, the Squadron 42 UI team. And then here we are. Obviously, this work is going to continue by the Squadron 42 UI team as they continue to polish it a bit once the roadmap gets updated and gets extended out. But you can see that this has been a labor of love for a long time for them to get this up to where it's been, or where it is now.
All these new things, the visor grows and we put things on it to show you, different statuses, and tells you all about what's going on. But with all this evolution, we sometimes lose focus. There's so much we need to know, and when we need to know it is important. So how do we zero in on what's important and at what time? So leaning on this technology that Zane and I and the UI tech team wrote a few years ago, we're trying to take a smarter perspective and rework the visor for you. So I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm going to invite Simon Bursey onto the stage, and he can tell you more about it. Simon? You on this?
Hey everybody. Okay, so Star Citizen, as you know, is a big project which has evolved over its lifetime. Early on in the project, we added the visor.
Sorry, I know this guy's kind of quiet. He is very soft-spoken anyway. Super nice guy, though. Very just great to talk to. Hyper intelligent. Did just a great bang-up job with this visor stuff.
Which is the display you see on your helmet when you're walking around the universe in first person. Because the game is always expanding, we often add new gameplay features. And with those come new UI. The various teams slotted pieces into whatever.
I love all these UI icons. They just have made this massive library of contextual icons based off of what's going on with you in the environment. And this is a lot of this stuff is going to be related to actor status tier 2.
Whatever place made sense at the time, but this eventually meant the view became very complex. As you can see, the current live UI can get very cluttered. We have lots of information competing for your attention, so you don't always know where to look, and sometimes the overlaps can make things difficult to read. So, as you can probably tell, the UI team wanted to do a redesign. We wanted to improve the player's experience by presenting the important information in a clear way. We also needed to create a new framework that supports all the existing features and allows us to add more in future. And finally, we wanted to bring the visuals up to the high standard we're setting for Squadron 42 and soon the Star Citizen persistent universe. So how do we go about that? I believe user interface should always be a collaboration with the teams who build the underlying features. So we worked closely with them on a new layout, keeping some pieces, combining others, and maybe getting rid of a few. Once we'd figured out the
What is explaining right now, if you remember when I just showed you on the progress tracker, how the initial work on all this UI stuff for the the HUD was, it started off with the actor feature team. And so this is them working alongside the actor feature team in order to figure out what elements they needed and what was going to work best in terms of placement, to get it all laid out before they got started with building the tech and doing the art for it. So it was a very smart process.
The design, we built a new framework using our 3D UI system, and then we worked closely with the various game teams to take all that complex data that existed before and hook it up to the new user interface. When we designed player-facing UI, we often tried to start with the worst case first, so we can see everything we have to deal with. It was important for us to keep the central area as clear as possible to make it easier for you to see the underlying game. We designed a set of regions that attach to the different parts of the view, and with each of those, we have a set of widgets that can show, hide, and stack when you need them. So,
this is a really good just sort of basic representation of how the building block system sort of works in terms of where they can place these widgets and how they, how all these things nest within the different zones of the UI. And then each one of these things is contextual based off of what's going on. They're not always there. And, you'll be able to turn off individual elements, so like Mike Lansing was saying, he doesn't like the UI, doesn't like the HUD stuff. You'll have the ability to customize it to be able to turn off these things. That's part of the contextual aspect of it. Is the context can be your preference, not just what the game is telling you.
We have a set of widgets that can show, hide, and stack when you need them. So, I've told you about everything we wanted to achieve, but wouldn't it be great to see it in game? Does anybody here want to see a live demonstration? Good. I was hoping you'd say that, otherwise it would have been a very short demo. Okay, so we're going to show you some of our new UI running live in the game. Everything you see is in real time, but I have to tell you we've created a special mission just for the show, which is a little different to what you see in the live game. Okay.
I like all the HUD and visor stuff just because it's futuristic. It's the 30th century. We have HUDs and visor stuff right now. It's a thing, and so it makes sense that you would have it in this time, but I get that some people don't like it, breaks their immersion and such. I want everybody throughout the rest of this demo to take note of where they are demonstrating all this stuff. On Crusader, in Stanton, in a build that looks very much like what we have right now in game. Because that's how far along this stuff is. That's how long they've been polishing this stuff since like spring. You know, if you go back and read the monthly reports, you can see when they got things, you know, feature complete, content complete, started polishing, you know, getting, you know, feedback and iterating on things. But they are getting ready to implement this into the PU. I would not be surprised if we didn't start seeing this kind of stuff get added to the release view in the next quarter or two. That's why they're demonstrating it, because they have already gotten started with the work. And so many of these things have been built in a systemic fashion that they, you know, once they're implemented into a build and gotten working, it doesn't matter if it's a Squadron 42 build or a Star Citizen build, it works. So.
Okay. So, as you can see, Bones driving. I'm going to say Bones' name a lot, and the other guys too, so it's probably the most times you'll hear that in any presentation. Okay, welcome to the Orison Providence platform. You may have spotted it earlier, but today is the first time we've shown the new visor we developed and tested in Squadron 42. But you'll be happy.
Let's see how minimalist this visor is at the very beginning. You know, you just have a compass. You can see where these are the zones. You've got an elevation thing on the side. But at baseline, it's very clean.
Happy to know all the UI you see today is going to make its way to Star Citizen. But this is secret UEE Navy tech, so we'll give it a different look for the persistent universe.
I like how you have the elevation and the compass, so that way if you're pointing something out and you know you want to be able to, you know, point something out, give somebody a direction, be like, okay, you know, 70 degrees and whatever elevation you're looking at, and that way somebody can turn and look up or down to see exactly what you're seeing. You know, because I mean, you know, maybe we're gonna get a feature to ping things, maybe not. I don't know. I don't recall them talking about it, but just being able to do that is just phenomenal. You know, for me, and I'm sure Mike Lansing is looking at it like, oh yeah, that's great. You know, that's good stuff.
As you can see, the display is very clean by default. Many of the elements are contextual, meaning they appear when you need them to avoid cluttering the screen. We've also temporarily hidden a couple of things so we can focus on them later in this demo. Okay, Bo, let's move into the scene, please.
All right.
Okay, when we get a new mission objective, it appears in the top right of the screen. And you can see that our first mission is to repair a radiation leak. We've done a major overhaul of the augmented reality marker system, so we can follow the yellow on-screen marker to get to our objective. At the top of the screen, you'll also see the compass. Okay, Bone, let's head towards the objective.
So not only are they showing the new visor and HUD stuff, or new visor and HUD, but they're also showing the new AR markers, which is another thing that they've been working on for a long time. And I do think that this is a very good, clean look. I can appreciate it. It's a simple thing, but compared to what we have right now in game, I think this is a substantial improvement.
We were already happy with the way the player status widgets worked, showing you contextual information about your character and environment. So we've given them some visual polish and added a few new ones. The environmental radiation.
Here we go. Contextual pops up once it becomes relevant. And then, of course, you have the temperature thing as well. Just to let you know you're starting to get out of, you know, a normal temp due to that. And so just really good contextual widgets. They're really easy to read. They clue you in really well into what's going on, so you don't miss out on that information. Along with, you have the audio feedback from the rad meter. I forget what the technical term is. But then you're going to get the visual feedback as well, which is your actor status tier 2 stuff.
Here is quite high, and over time it will wear down our suit and damage the player. Looks like we can see the source of the radiation there. I think somebody's damaged a pipe, so how are we going to fix it? If we were in space, we could use a salvage and repair ship. Luckily, UEE have some advanced portable tech. Bone, please equip the military multi-tool. The military multi-tool from Squadron 42 has various modes, one of which gives us the ability to salvage and repair while on foot. Okay, Bone.
I think any gamer, yeah, Black Intellect, I think any gamer, if they hear that, they're like, wait, where's it coming from? Which direction I need to go back to? Because I don't want to be here anymore. This is bad. My in-game character isn't going to be able to have kids. I'm going to grow a third leg.
Let's use the multi-tool to repair that pipe.
And I like how it shows you, I'm guessing, because this number's going up along with this bar. And if you saw it in the beginning, you saw like your protective element going down. And it went down pretty quick because obviously you're just in like a flight suit. But it went down pretty quick and now you're just eating rads. I don't know what this number indicates. And this bar, obviously we're going to have to get that information. But I think that like once this goes up to a certain point is when you're going to start taking damage. Not sure. Yeah, 3 arms would be cool. Imagine the tactical reloads you could do. You could, shoot your gun and throw a grenade at the same time. Yeah, we're totally just eating rads right now.
Okay. Right, we can see at the bottom left of the screen, the radiation levels are decreasing. So let's head into the scene.
And you can see, your rads going down, I guess. Although realistically, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can see the REMs going down in the environment because you patched that hole. So now you're not being exposed to that, any radiation anymore. And you can see your suit's protection recovering. Gamified, but I think it's fine.
Go on, Bone. Let's walk forwards a bit. Okay, now we fixed the damage, we need to find the enemies that caused it. While we're on the way, you'll notice that the on-foot emissions at the top of the screen. We're emitting infrared, electromagnetic radiation, and also sound.
So infrared, this is the infrared. Here's your electromagnetic, and here's your sound. You can see as you're taking steps. Hard to know what these limits mean, in terms like, is it because these people are here now, like stealth wise, if they stay within those, they won't detect you? Hard to know. Again, this part is more gamified to me, and I'm not sure how I feel about the knowing, whatever the upper limit is, or if that's what that is, but it's hard, we don't know yet because we haven't gotten our hands on it.
If any of these go higher than the background levels, it will be easier for the enemies to detect us.
Oh, okay. So the background level. This is the background noise, and so this bar can shrink as well. Obviously, if we, let it play for a second, you'll hear like the background noise going on here, Crusader, the background electromagnetic. And so we are being able to use the background signals, and these are just for demonstration purposes, and this is going to be dynamic, but we're able to use those in order to, so this isn't their detection, this is just the background amounts.
Let's take a look at the bad guys, Bone. As part of the emissions and radar tech, we also have the ability to scan while we're on foot. If we tap the button, we can do a quick scan to reveal everything, to reveal info about anything that's in our view currently. Okay, Bone, let's do a quick scan.
The only thing is we did a quick scan, but I didn't see either any of our emissions pop up. And so that's, I don't know if that's intended or not, because that's one thing is if I do it, because they talked about a charge scan and a quick scan, and I would think that the quick scan would still alert, or cause an uptick in your Yeah, Aether says, I think QuickScan does not, but I think it should. Just not as much. You know.
This highlights whatever's in our line of sight. There's also some risk and reward to the scanning system. By holding the button, we can charge our scanner, and this reveals enemies through walls using a more powerful wave. But it does cause a spike in our emissions, which makes us easier to detect. Okay, let's do a charge scan, please, Bone. Okay. We can also see the augmented reality box outs, which give us a summary of what we've detected. Okay, let's...
Now, I do remember them saying that not every suit or armor or whatever would be able to detect these things as well. And so that's one of these things where you might want to have the component added to your suit, because your suits are going to have components. You're going to be able to swap things out to give your armor and your suits different capabilities. And so one of these things would be the ability to detect emissions like this. So if somebody pings, you'll recognize it. But that might, take up some other slot that, so that way you have you don't have a choice to use something else. This is the player agency, player choice aspect of it, allowing you to specialize. Yeah. Socially Confused says it will allow specialized armors, minor medical combat, etc. Yeah. A lot of different specialization, because your armor, your suits are meant to run or work much like ships, in that they will consume power. They'll have little subcomponents that allow you to do certain things. Attachment points, which is essentially kind of like, weapon and utility attachment points. Yeah. One ping, Mr. Vasily. One ping only. Didn't I add that? I downloaded that. I downloaded that because I wanted to add it to my sound alerts. My stream alerts.
Have a look at our weapons. Let's get the gun out, please, Bone. Okay, we wanted to help the player see their equipment during combat, so we upgraded the weapons display. As well as the ammo in the gun and the spare mags in their pockets, we also now show the player's explosives and med pens. Okay, let's fight the bad guys.
That UI in the bottom right is so clean with the mags and the grenades.
There you can see our new explosives marker, designed to help you spot deadly grenades, mines, and missiles more easily.
I got you covered.
Ping, Vasily. One ping only.
There it is. I think these are the special ones where you have to spend money to get access to them, not just the crayons. Like if I'm looking in I forget the stream alerts widget thing in the Twitch. I have access to them. Oh, here, I'll turn up the volume for it. Yeah, it costs 100 bits. So if you want to buy bits, you can play that sound on my stream. Whoops.
Give me a ping, Vasily. One ping only.
Such a good movie. Classic.
You do it? Okay. Well done, Bone. Success.
I wonder why it's not showing the skeleton on this
there's
dead
no more
guy
hostiles
over here.
nearby, so let's take a moment to talk about the Mobi-Glass. The Mobi-Glass is the Star Citizen equivalent of your smartphone. It has various apps that hook into the gameplay systems. Like all the UI we're showing you today, we wanted to redesign it with the player's usability in mind, to make it look good and also lay the groundwork for future expansion. Let's bring up the mobiGlas, please, Bone.
How sexy is this? I know that a lot of you guys think in much the same ways that I do. This is beautiful. This is gorgeous. This is such a massive improvement over what we have right now. I cannot wait to get this mobiGlas. Like, yes, star map, amazing. All these things are amazing, but the getting rid of the old mobiGlas, which is built on Flash and looks dated, doesn't perform well, like it tanks your frames, to seeing just how clean this is and how functional and how well it communicates information. EVA fuel right there. Very important. Interesting that it says EVA fuel up here next to your Carrick too, but hydrogen quantum, atmospheric pressure, the atmosphere, how safe the atmosphere is, your gravities, the temperature. You got your Galactopedia app over in the bottom right, star map, mission manager. Everything's so clean and legible. It's just beautiful, beautiful.
Pretty cool, huh? We've redesigned the interface to give a smoother user experience. We've overhauled the visuals, as you can see, to make it feel more three-dimensional and holographic. This is actually a sneak peek of the UEE military mobiGlas we've created for Squadron 4.
Isn't it great how all these little icons, when you hover over them, they play a little animation? That's so cool. It could have just been static, but no, they made each one of these animate something.
This version has a focused selection of apps, and we're going to expand on that when we bring the mobiGlas to the Star Citizen persistent universe. We'll also have more of a smartphone feel in the PU with a wider range of apps. Okay, let's briefly talk about this home screen. It gives us an overview of our health, the environment, and even our ship. We can also check our mission objective. Okay, so that's enough about the mobiGlas. We've got some more really cool UI just around the corner. And to tell you a bit more about that is the very talented Zane Bien.
You can tell me more about the mobiGlas. I just love how legible and easy to read is. The background is sufficiently muted to be able to read it compared to what we have now.
Throughout human history, as we have ventured towards the allure...
Do enough push-ups there, Zane? Bro's got pecs. Look at those shoulders. My goodness. Zane takes his lunch break and goes down to the gym at the bottom of the office building.
Or of the unknown. We have used cartography as a key component to help shape our understanding and make sense of the world around us. Without these systems in place to catalog our experiences and to chart our journeys, we are forever lost amidst our own environment, and we are just running around aimlessly. This is why it is super important that you, as citizens of our ever-growing, ever-evolving, persistent universe, are equipped with the tools necessary to make your ventures meaningful. So, with that said, I want to show you something that I think is extremely cool. So, Bone, our next objective is to go to the map kiosk and download a terminal.
This is so cool. Here we are. We're in Orison. They just easily plunked down map terminals right here. Ready to go. In the Kovalex cargo area. And you can grab your map and go to the map terminal here and download the map. I'm sorry. If people think that this is going to take a long time to implement into Star Citizen, I think there's just on the best drugs, and I hope they enjoy the high that they're on, because there's no way that they're demonstrating this in this way not signal that this is going to be coming soon. Now, do I think it's going to come in Q4? No, I don't think it's going to come in Q4 because they don't say anything in this presentation about it coming in Q4. Could it happen? Maybe. But we just don't know, because they do talk about how that they are going to be making changes to this, because what we're using right now is the military version of all these things. And they're going to make it look different to be the civilian version. But demonstrating it functioning in a PU environment, in a what's obviously it's a modified PU build, but it's still a PU build, is very telling to me that they can get this in pretty short order. Yeah, if the new Mobi UI come in Q4, I will buy more ships. Blood Tide Gaming 07, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I if that's what it took, I'd do it too. I would buy myself an internet spaceship instead of a third monitor for Christmas, just to make it happen. But I do think it's definitely a very real possibility in the first half of next year, easily, without a doubt. And not just a single one of these things, all of it. Now, do I have anything solid to point that to? No, other than what I've read in the monthly reports and what we're all seeing right here. But if it looks this good and it's functioning this well in a PU testing environment, that's telling. That's telling, guys.
Let's go ahead and activate it. What you see on screen, zoom out a bit, what you see on screen is a fully live 3D representation of the environment that we are in.
And this is just all formulated from data that the game gives them, with just easy little markups for areas that this is probably already put into, called by the locations team. This is just so incredible.
You can see callouts of the various default points of interest. You can pan the map around, you can rotate it, and you can even cycle the floors that you're on to isolate the visuals of the floor that you're on. So our current objective, it's much more interesting if we can actually take this on the go. So let's download it to our databank.
So that's the cool thing, though, is you can come over here and you can use the map. If for some reason you don't have room in your databank or something, you can look at the map and find what you're looking for. It's just like going to the mall and you walk in the front set of doors into the lobby area, and you're able to be like, oh, okay, sweet. I'm on the bottom floor. I need to go to the top floor, past the atrium and the food court to the right. You can do that same thing here and just know, okay, I'm here. I just need to follow this route. Stick to the left if you don't want to download the map. But, I'm assuming we get a lot of room to store the maps.
As you'll notice, we now have the representation of the environment in the upper left corner of our visor.
Boom. There it is. You told Google to download the map so that way it would load faster, and there it is. Already there. Yes, we still have malls in Idaho.
Now, the thing that's really interesting to note at this point
is it's small.
Not all environments will have such a convenient kiosk available. You may encounter rundown settlements, or you might come across a cave that no one else has ever set foot on before. What will happen in this instance is your radar will incrementally update your map, and it will incrementally reveal your environment and save that to your databank. So you kind of reveal it incrementally.
That's so smart. So that way, and this is the one the you can't hear it in this part, but I was hanging out with Treeson from the Astropub Discord and Del Einar, who's regularly in my Discord. But when he said this, I cheered because I've been wanting to do cave missions and investigation missions for so long, and now we have the mantling improvements, and so it makes it physically viable to do, but you still get lost. Now with this, as you're exploring the cave, your visor slash mobiGlas, whichever device is doing it, will scan the area around you, the immediate area around you, but continue to save where you've been. And so, as you go down deeper into the cave, you'll be like, okay, I know where I am, and this is how I find my way out. If you tell it to find your way out, it'll generate the AI pathfinding for you. If you if you do a ping, it will scan the area further out around you and give you more of that map versus just what's in your immediate area. Just a huge, just massive quality of life upgrade from this. Not star map amazing, but for gameplay purposes, especially with Pyro, all the new stations. We have 26 stations in Pyro. 15 of them are abandoned. Having this in game, in the next couple quarters, will just be an absolute game changer for exploring caves, for exploring UGFs and abandoned UGFs, stations and derelict stations, abandoned ones, all that stuff. It's just going to be, Blood Tiger Gaming says, bro, I got lost in the starting station. Yeah, I struggled to find my way out in when I had played the demo at CitizenCon. And this is just going to be an absolute game changer. Yeah, there are a lot of verticality. Yep. In the new stations.
So this map, what we see in the upper left corner of our visor is not really just a map. What it really is actually data. It's our radar. And we can see contacts on our radar as we scan. And it's basically what we have available in stored in our data bank. So because we have the location data saved to our data bank, we can obviously access that via our mobiGlas. So let's go ahead and pull it up in our mobiGlas, because this is going to get really interesting.
It's going to get interesting. It wasn't interesting before. It's going to get interesting. Look how cool that is. It's so clean. Looks so good in the Mobi.
So Bone, I would like you to cycle.
I like how you can see the shuttle arriving. Even the shuttle is shown. But it's so very obvious from the way that the structures are rendered onto this. What it looks like and where things are. Stairs and ramps and separation of rooms. There are some parts where it gets a little bit cluttered, but it's still extremely usable. It's so good. So incredibly good. And then you can see very easily, it sort of blends down here, and you can see very easily your quick keys for increase floor, decrease floor, set route, cancel route, set marker, my location, tab to ping. And then they're going to explain what these buttons do.
Bone, I would like you to cycle between the different floors for us, please. So you can see this lerping transition between the different floors and marker callouts of our objective and also where we are. I would like to talk a little bit about the tech behind this. What you're seeing is not a pre-baked asset. And I want to reiterate that because all of our environments can be very dynamic and they can change. They can take damage. Perhaps economic shifts might cause changes in the environment. And we can't...
Not a pre-baked asset. The environments can change. This is at the end of the day, at the end of day one, after they showed the Maelstrom damage system, but then he also talked about how the economics can change. And so what he's foreshadowing is that I think he's foreshadowing for the base building presentation at the end of day 2, as well as other things. So that way they couldn't have a pre-baked map asset for a planet. It wouldn't work. It'd just be too dang massive. But if somebody builds something on a planet or in space or anywhere, it has to be generated dynamically based off the changes to the environment.
Export totally custom assets. So what we've done is we collaborated with our graphics team to enable us to render the environment in this way. And what it is we're actually whitelisting objects that we render and excluding everything that we don't need to render. So in our level markup, we basically have the designers and artists mark up only the bits that are necessary for the map. This lets us have a very compelling visual, but without much of the cost. So,
without much of the cost, this is extremely performant. That's what he's trying to get to, is that they're able to just take the area around you and then just whitelist the assets in order to show this sort of skeletal framework of it without it, hurting your frame rate and being a drain on your PC's resources. Yeah, Aetherdrift, I just don't think that most people who saw this really got it. Know what I mean? This is just incredible. And really, the first time you see things, you're like, wow, that's really pretty. But you're so distracted by what you're seeing in front of you, you don't really hear what they're saying. And that's why I come back and I watch everything. And a lot of times when I watch things, I'll watch, I'm not going to turn the closed captions on because we're watching it together. But when I'm watching it for studying purposes, when I'm making notes for the Pathfinders podcast, I'll turn on the closed captions and I will just listen and watch the closed captions. I'm not looking at the pictures as much because I've seen them already. I'm looking at the words. I want to see and hear the words and make that stick. So that way I don't miss any important details. And that's what I'm trying to highlight as we're going through this, is a few of the little tidbits that, especially because so many of these people are really soft-spoken, a lot of these details are really important to the context of what they're demonstrating us and why it's so significant.
I think what we can do at this point, what I want to show you is something very interesting. So we might look around on this map and note down certain areas that
I love how when you go over the typed out callouts for the different areas, how it highlights them and they become more prominent. That's a really great feature.
Might look interesting that we might want to revisit later. We can see some doors on this map, and these doors are entities that are called out on the map, and they may change state. So there can be some doors which have a locked state, which they will display red. And doors that are open will be green. And there are other entity callouts that can happen in our map. So let's go ahead and find a location to put down a pin, please, Bone. Maybe that one. Maybe that door looks interesting. Press T. So what we can do is set a marker, and we can customize the details of that marker. Now, what you'll notice as well as we...
The one thing I want to know is, can you just click on a point with your mouse rather than having to move this sort of center T in order to set it? Can I just click here, right click there or whatever, and maybe it'll put it to right there and then set the marker, versus having to use arrow keys or whatever he was doing? Because that part seems a little clunky to me, and so I'm hoping you're able to do it via mouse.
Set markers, there's metadata that is encoded into each of these markers on top of the customized name that we can specify. So we can mark as many markers as we want in this map. And these are all saved to our data bank. And we can eventually share these markers and even sell these markers on the market. So the thing about this, we can't really talk about markers without mentioning data running. So
My question is, what sort of metadata is in there, and what data can you include in there? Because obviously reputation is going to be a thing, and your reputation for the data being valid is going to be important, but how do they make it so that way, someone can validate that, that this marker actually leads to these asteroids that are valuable? Like, how do they validate that information? How do you get a scan of some asteroids and then hide the the coordinates, so that way you can be like, look, I found these, and I'll give you, maybe it gives you the first couple coordinates that says it's, within the Stanton system or whatever, or in a certain area, a general area, but not give them the full detailed coordinates. Because that's the part that's important, is being able to say, okay, I don't know you, but I need to know what the actual information is. I need to validate it. And so that's what I'm curious about.
Might specialize in exploration, whereas perhaps a miner might specialize in the equipment, and they make investments in their equipment. So you, as an explorer, might be in the business of going around and exploring and finding locations that are very valuable to other professions. And the role of these markers are very important in coming up with the data. And so it's very important. We can basically, when you name your markers, you can make it as maybe obvious, or you can leave it a mystery. So you'll have, when you sell it on the market, you could get rated for how accurate the data is. So the other thing is, we have a mission objective as well, and it would be very nice to be able to route to that mission objective. How do we get there? That is another purpose of the map, is basically navigating and letting us know the way towards that objective, towards a destination. So let's go ahead and plot a route to this objective.
Ta-da!
So we can see a line being drawn from where we are up the stairs to our destination and where we want to go. So you will no longer be lost amidst all of our super complex environments. And what's worth mentioning at this point, and what's really
talk about a quality of life upgrade for new players. Being able to just, go on the map and, okay, here's where I need to go, and, telling GPS to take me there. And eventually you won't need the GPS to take you there, but the first couple times, telling the GPS to take you where you need to go.
Really cool is this under the hood is actually utilizing another piece of tech, AI pathfinding. And so what that allows us to do is leverage other existing tech to basically, it does all the heavy lifting, we just make it look pretty. So because of that, there are certain cases where the path might be blocked. It might have a locked door, or there might be a fire that is in our way. The AI pathfinding will account for that. It will go through doors, it will handle elevators, and it will handle fires, locked doors, and it will just handle everything. So that is an example of sort of a piece of tech that we've leveraged under the hood to help us achieve this goal.
They didn't have to rewrite a system or make anything special. They just took something that the AI teams had already made and be like, "Hey, can we borrow this? Can we have a copy of this? Yeah, sure, go for it. Knock yourself out." Boom, done. Genius.
So, one last thing we can do at the moment is we want to ensure that there are no more hostiles in our way as we make our way to our objective. So what we can do is we can send out a ping. Bone, if you send out a ping, please.
Wait.
Give me a ping, Vasily. One ping only.
Had to do it.
So the scanning will also be represented in the map in the same fashion as it is when you're in FPS. So we know that there's no more hostiles. Let's go ahead and make our way to our objective. As you can see in the upper left corner, we now have the route line represented, our destination, and the distance it takes to get there.
I like how the route line is up on the mini-map in the top left corner and not on your screen. If it was projected onto your screen, I think that would look silly to me and that would be overly gamified. But because we have a dedicated map section, I think that the having it up there allows you to reference it as needed, but it's not cluttering up your view and distracting you from what's going on around you. You're not just walking along looking at the line in front of you. You're able to still appreciate the environment, and I think that's purposeful.
As we traverse this path, the path automatically updates, and if you deviate from that path, it will recalculate the route you need to get to your destination.
Turn left. Recalculating. Recalculating.
So there's our buddy. He's flying in. So we'll
he
make
made
our
that
way
turn
up to
in
the
that
Carrack here.
Carrack really fast. He came in pretty fast.
To the right. You'll also notice the pin that we've laid down, as well as our marker objective called out on the map. And as you'll notice, as we head up the stairs, the floor will dynamically change as you head up the stairs. If we can get past this first bit, if we don't trip up. So as we make our way into the
That's pretty impressive.
it's not
who was
just
able to
environments,
pull right
caves,
there
or cities.
and drop the ramp.
We can represent the ship on our interior map.
Boom! There it is, top left. Look at it.
And it's totally seamless as you transition between the two.
Seamless.
So let's go ahead and pull up our mobiGlas again and get a wider view of our ship. So we are now on the technical deck, but we can also see the other floors. If you traverse the floors, Bone, just to demonstrate it. Here's our cartography deck. Down one. And our habitation deck. So you will have noticed from a previous presentation that this was very similar looking, right? It's utilizing our tech. So not only will this benefit you as a player, but it also benefits us as developers.
In the common tongue, it says, one ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness, find them. This is
It is truly a one-ring system. That's what this is.
Because we generalize this system so that other developers can leverage our map to create compelling gameplay.
So Socially Confused, the cartography deck is going to use the same system, and it's already built and used in the Idris, the Javelin, the Bengal. Those ships already use this system for their like globe map thing that they have on the bridge and such. It's already being used, and so it's just a matter of time and resources. But that's the plan. Question: is the MSR underbelly on the minimap? That is a good question. I would assume so. Like once you're in it, you know, or maybe you can do the decrease floor queue thing. I don't know.
So other teams can leverage our tech, and we leverage the tech from other teams, and it's a circle of life. And I think that's just too cool.
Just too
for
cool.
school.
Zane, you nerd. I love you.
So, we've been talking about environments, cities, representing ships on our map, maybe planet terrain. These are quite, I mean, our universe is quite big, right? That's only a small fraction of what our universe is.
What are you saying, Zane? What are you saying?
What happens? Have we tried this? What happens if we just take your mouse wheel and just zoom out a little bit?
Don't you tease me, you naughty boy.
Keep
with
going.
your biceps and your pecs.
Keep zooming out, all the way out, all the way out.
I like how it retains the compass.
Let's go. So, it's not
and
just
it gives you the scale grid.
map. It's not just the radar. It is the map. It is one single unified system just across different scales. And I want, at this point...
One single unified system just across different scales. One ring. It's freaking genius. It's beautiful. The execution is flawless. Yeah, there's a little bit of performance issues here and there that they'll address, but this is just does it get any better? Not in my opinion.
We are above Crusader, and at this point, I want to invite Emily Hansen onto the stage to talk about the map as seen at this scale. Thank you very much, everybody.
Emily.
Hello, CitizenCon. Are you ready for this?
Wait, okay. Everybody, I want you to listen very closely for when she says, "Are you ready for this?" I can't turn it up any louder.
Hello, CitizenCon. Are you ready for this?
Did you hear that in the background? That was me saying my body is ready. And Dell and Treesan were so embarrassed. But yeah, everybody around me started laughing, but it wasn't loud enough to get picked up on the on the microphone. But that was me yelling, "My body is ready." Yeah.
Phone? Do you want to click on the
That's why she's
marker?
laughing, because she heard it.
As you all suspected, this is the star map. Woo!
Just brings a tear to your eye. So
I'm
happy.
so excited to be here today to reveal this to you all. I hope you're
Yeah.
excited too.
I
Now-
am. I'm still excited.
I think we all know the current star map needed a bit of work. And we've
Just a
done
little.
that.
Just a little bit.
Now, mapping the universe is no easy task, but we've taken some big steps forward with this upgrade to make it so much easier for you to navigate the stars. Before we dive into the details, let's just take a second to admire Crusader's new look. Bone, why don't you take a look around? Much like the interior map, the star map is holographic. And this lets us add some cool interference effects and details to our planet textures. You can also see our improved player marker and that we're currently at Orison. The player and location markers have merged at this scale because they're so close together. The player marker takes priority, which is why
They've merged. No more of this just stacking markers and markers and markers on top of each other and you can't see or read anything. There's a prioritization system. Things are contextual, so they are removed when they're not needed. It's so good. So good.
the marker displays the player icon and color. By smartly merging with bigger points of interest at larger scales, the player marker always remains visible to you. You'll always know where you are relative to points of interest near and far. So,
Hey there, Drifter, are you talking about the... I wanted to click on it and move it like I had control of the map. Are you talking about these things around it? I think that this is just the... this is more just like signifying the rotation of it. Like this is its axis of how the planet rotates itself, not like orbits. You know, so versus if you dragged it up like this and it was spinning like this versus spinning like a top. I think that's what it's signifying. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. And greebling. Definitely some greebling.
is everyone ready to see more?
It looks pretty.
Bone, let's take the step back button. That's the one on the right over here.
But you notice how it only comes up when he has the mouse over the planet.
So we can see, take a look at Crusader and all of its moons. Yeah, so here we are, Crusader, its moons, orbits. You can also see that labels have received a major visual update. They're now fully 3D, and this gives them a really cool perspective. Most labels are aligned to the galactic plane, and they rotate with the map. Bone, give the map a spin.
I do, and I don't know if this is something they're going to incorporate, but it was mentioned. Somebody posted this in Spectrum as feedback, and so they said as you spin the map, the labels should rotate around so that they don't become upside down. So here you can see it's right side up as you're looking at it, but then they rotate.
Can you tilt past the horizon, please?
Oh.
Most labels are aligned to the galactic plane, and they rotate with the map. Bone, give the map a spin.
So they rotate around and they get upside down.
Bone,
And someone suggested that
can you
they
tilt
move
past the horizon,
with it,
please?
which isn't too big of a deal, but you can see how when it flips.
When we do this, the labels flip so you can always read them clearly.
Oh, so good.
Labels for city markers and outposts work a little bit differently. Bone, let's double click on Selin now to focus on it. Surface labels face the camera and appear when they're in the central part of the planet, reducing on-screen clutter. Bone, want to show this in action?
That's so great. So great how they disappear when they're not on screen. You know, it makes it easy to click on things. You don't have labels stacking.
Markers on the far side of the planet fade out, so they don't take focus from the locations you currently care more about on the near side of the planet. Bone, can you double-click on one of the points of interest? As we selected this marker, its label will stay visible at all angles. So far, we've showed you that you can use buttons and double-clicking to jump to objects you're interested in. But wouldn't it be nice if you could also freely zoom out and into locations? Shall we try it, Bone? Let's zoom out until we can see Crusader. We wanted to ensure you have freedom to move around, but this flexibility requires us to be really careful about how and when markers appear. Markers need to disappear when they get too small, but also stay visible when they're still relevant to your view. This isn't simple because objects in a solar system are vastly different sizes. Think about the size of a star versus a planet versus you, the player. You're kind of small compared to a star, right?
I like as you continue to zoom out, it updates the scale for you.
Our solution is a technique we call cosmetic scaling. This allows us to draw a marker at its real size when we are close to it and artificially increase its size as we zoom out until we reach the point where it collapses into larger points of interest in the hierarchy. You can see this in action here. There's no way Crusader and its moons are this size at this scale in reality. They've been scaled up massively so you can see them. Bone, let's zoom out a bit more so we can see the moons disappear.
I love that. God, it's all the contextual everything. It's
you can
just
also
so
start
clean,
to see
makes
Crusader's
so legible.
orbit line around the sun here. But before we go back to before we move on to that, let's zoom back in so we can see everything come back as we get closer.
Be still my heart.
As well as zoom, you can also pan around the map unrestricted. Bone, feel free to have a quick look around. As we draw closer to a marker, the cursor automatically magnetizes to it. This ensures you never lose track of what you're trying to view when you zoom in. No more zooming in on empty space!
Hooray! It's so frustrating when you do that.
Bone, let's use this technique to take a closer look at Yayla.
I like the little icon thing that moves around with you.
The magnetic cursor does not require us to click on markers. Keep zooming in.
That's so smart.
Bone, can you keep zooming in?
Pay attention, Bone.
You can see that the
Stop thinking
surface
about
markers
potato
appear
Airbnbs.
without us needing to select Yayla itself. Imagine how much easier finding that outpost will be now. Crusader, as you all know, isn't all there is, though. We've got a pretty big universe out here. Do you want to see some more?
Danger Hobo, I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon with them getting the orbits in, but I do think it adds a lot of gameplay. If the planets orbit and they rotate at different, orbit at different speeds, that changes hauling routes. That changes the tactical situation. Is it coming anytime soon? No. Are they going to orbit fast? No. But the where a planet is in the system could be significantly different from they'll speed it up, but from 1 month to the next, and so your route might be farther across a larger system based off where you come in, and that's just good planning. And will it matter if you're operating in and around Crusader or a single planet the way they intended for most gamers? No. But if you are moving around from planet to planet, system to system, it's something that you have to consider. And I think that especially for the long distance haulers and people doing big logistics, I think that's good gameplay for them, and it won't affect most people, on a day-to-day basis.
Let's have a look at a location further afield. Can we just pan to Calliope, maybe? Bone, let's give that a try. Yeah, I think we're getting lost. Pretty sure we can all disagree this might not be the best strategy. So what can we do? Bone, let's try clicking on the middle button over here. This returns us to our previously selected marker. As I mentioned, we did not select Yela, so we've gone back to Selin. So now we know where we are. That's a step in the right direction, but we're still not at Calliope. So we need to find a different way. Bone, could you use the step back button until we can see the whole solar system, please?
There it is. There's the whole solar system. Now, obviously, compared to what we have in game now, there are some things missing. The question is, how will those things be represented? Like the jump points, your Lagrange points, but at least it shows the planets and their orbits and the star right now. So, pretty dang cool.
Yes. I think Calliope is one of Microtech's moons. So if we double click on that bone, we should be able to see it. And there it is. Bone, let's pan to it and then zoom in so we can see that magnetic cursor in action again. Can you zoom in, Bone? Thank you.
Come on,
it's so
Bone,
cool
pay
to see
attention.
more of our moons and planets and how different they all look. Okay, so this is great. But what if I hadn't already known where Calliope was? Surely there's a faster way. We've got you. We've provided a drop-down that lists the points of interest in the solar system. Bone, want to expand it now? We're actively working on ways to improve the way this list is presented to you, to make it even easier to find what you're looking for. And yes, this will include search functionality.
Search. It's going to be so good.
But for now, Bone, let's use this to go to Ariel.
I like the look of the symbols, to provide things in categories. I hope that they not only have a search function, but a sorting system and a nesting system.
I absolutely
folders
love
or something
zooming
like
around
that.
on this map. Bone, want to find Area 18 for me? So, Area 18 is currently on the dark side of the planet, it seems. Of course, it's not just planets and moons. Bone, how about we take a look at Security Post Korea? It's quite a long way down, isn't it? This is where the upcoming search will really come in useful. Bone, want to zoom in a little and show off our holographic model of this station?
And I'm guessing that's
also,
a very rough white
down
list
that
of the structure itself, not something they had to make
As
bespoke.
you may have noticed, the recent list in the drop-down populates as you click on locations in the list. It will remember your
That's
three
really
most
handy.
recent selections, so you can use this to quickly return to places in case you want to check something else again. Bone, let's use this to go back to Ariel. Okay, so we've done a lot of exploring. I think it's time that we head back. We could do this by selecting Orison from the list, but we also have our own marker that we can take advantage of here. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that the player marker clamps to the edge of the map, keeping it visible to you no matter how far away you go. To get back to our position, we could double-click that marker, or we could click the first of the navigation buttons to zoom straight there. Now, I'm sure many of you have been wondering if we can go back to our carrot map from the star map, just like how we got here from the carrot map just a few minutes ago. So let's see what happens when we focus on our player marker. Go ahead, Bone.
Click, zoom out, and zoom in. Boom. Back on the carrot.
All right. So
Needs a little bit of
here's our carrot
optimization,
again.
but otherwise it runs really
Being able
well.
to simply zoom between these map contexts lets you draw meaningful connections between what's on the ground and what's in the skies like never before. Bone, just for fun, let's zoom all the way back out so we can see the entire Stanton solar system. It's just so cool to watch the verse open up before our eyes.
It's so smooth. Runs so much better than what we have right now.
With all these new possibilities for moving around the star map, you should never find yourself lost again. The controls are so much smoother and easier to use than the star map you're all used to, as I hope Bone agrees. Knowing that what we've shown here today is just the beginning for the upgraded star map. You saw pinning in the local map, and we'll add this to the star map before you get it. Just imagine being able to mark something interesting you find out there in the verse and then sharing that location with friends, just like Zane said. Exploration is about to get a lot more interesting, and we're doing everything we can to ensure the star map is your brightest window to the stars yet.
Blood Tide. Oh my god, I've hated the one we have now, but after this I hate our current one so much even more. I forget who made, was it Zero State or Salty Mike? I said something to the tune of like, the worst thing about CitizenCon is coming home and having to play Star Citizen in its current form, because we see all the stuff that is coming soon, you know, that like and I'll put context onto this here in just a second, but Chris Roberts said at the beginning of the presentation, everything that we're going to be showing you, something to the tune of, it was most everything we're going to be showing you is we're aiming to have in your hands in the next year. And he said it differently at the end, and everybody took that as like, oh, they're trying to get everything they showed us at CitizenCon in a year, and totally misinterpreted and took it out of context. And it's really more important to recognize that what he said at the beginning of the presentation was most things, and really most things that we're going to be seeing as we continue to do these recaps. And if you watched CitizenCon already, there is other than like base building, there really isn't anything that we aren't likely to see over the next year. That's what's crazy, because everything was demonstrated in engine, in game, with assets we already had. It wasn't faked. It was all real, because so much of it was built for Squadron and has been worked on for years.
And now, let's welcome our intrepid demo driver, Bone, back to the stage.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks a lot.
David is the technical director for UI.
We're really, really excited about getting all these features into your hands of the players of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We know they're going to make a huge difference to the way you make your way around the universe. So let's just quickly review what we've seen. We've rebuilt the visor display to give you a better understanding of the environment around you. With the new minimap, with the integrated radar and ping, and it will help you find your way around. There's a new Mobi-Glass coming with its sleek new design. We're improving all the existing apps, and we're going to develop some new ones too along the way.
Ooh,
so
new
we've got
apps.
a video now. And then
The terrain map.
there's our
Oh.
interior map technology, which will truly help you understand your surroundings. Better awareness of your surroundings and threats, exploring new mapping new areas, pinning locations for later, and sharing.
But where is this bone? What are we looking at? These look like mountains, and this is some sort of point of interest or something. I love the terrain map and the 3D representation. I hate to make the comparison, but compared to Starfield, where there's nothing there, that there is no terrain map, there is no surface map. There's nothing to differentiate anything. There's just some icons on a circle that show things there. That it's useless. It doesn't do anything for you. But here we've got terrain, and we can see terrain. We can see features. We can see representations of structures, like all of that.
Sharing these with your friends.
Them some big mountains.
Or the Idris. That looks great.
Yeah, that Idris map is just looking legit. So useful. So incredibly useful.
Some more of Horizon.
Visit Orison. City in the clouds.
And of course, our entirely new integrated star map. With its new interface and, let's face it, a much needed refresh to the user experience. No more getting lost. A whole new perspective. With all these upcoming features, where will you explore today? Thank you very much. Cheers.
When, David? When? I must know when. Bloodtide Gaming says, I kept hearing a rumor that a destroyed Kraken can be seen at Checkpoint Station in the testverse. Really? I will have to take a look for that tomorrow. I will let you know in my Discord if I am able to find it. It is 11:20 here in Boise, Idaho, and that's all I have for this evening. So I just want to say, actually...